Hey, welcome to Agribusiness with African Farmer. Good evening, sir. You're welcome to the program.
Good evening. It's good to see you after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, please. It's 35 minutes past 5, guys, and we're here with more on Agribusiness. Today we'll be discussing funding farms and the value addition. We have been discussing value addition for a while here for the past 2 weeks, and it's getting broader and broader. It's getting interesting, and he also has got something that he'll share with us as regards to EcoBank and what's happening. But more of that will come later. All right, so guys, you already know that accessing finance for any business venture is quite easily complicated. Yeah, for many farmers in Nigeria, accessing or using the right financing models for agribusiness activities eludes a lot of them. And that's why we're here. Now, according to PwC, evaluating agricultural finance in Nigeria, according to the 2017 report, stated that out of the total budget of 7.44 trillion naira, that's the agriculture forecast spending was 100 billion, making it 1.3% of the total budget. National Bureau of Statistics, that's NBS, shows agricultural sector received $195.7 million of the total capital inflows into the country in 2017 by private investors. Another NBS statistics stated that credits to agricultural sector was 3.26% and 3.36% of total credit to the private sector in 2016 and 2017 respectively, with a total of 63.27 trillion naira of credit that was provided in 2017 by banks. Now, when you compare to the banking sector credit to other industries, agricultural sector received the lowest credit allocation from banks. Why is that? For an emerging sector that promises to be great and have loads of turnover, why are the banks shying away from that?
Well, you don't blame the banks.
Okay.
Your money, if the banks lose your money, you will go and raise everything down there.
Oh yeah.
So, agri still looks good.
It is good.
No.
No?
Someone like me can say it's good
Okay.
because we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
For many people, it still looks good. And so you don't have a lot of things in the a lot of value chains have not been de-risked. So the banks cannot take a lot of risk because there are not a lot of structures in place by mostly governments.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that the bank is not in the business of doing business or taking risks. They don't take risks. So government needs to de-risk it and make it really more appealing beyond just saying we want to encourage you, go and do it. They use depositors' funds. So as long as the roads are bad, as long as there's insecurity, so they can't give out those funds. They rather give it out to areas where they can calculate that 1 naira goes in, 10 naira comes back. And so I have not blamed the banks, and I will not blame the banks because they are not using capital sourced from elsewhere. They are using depositors' funds.
Is it just infrastructure? Is it just the infrastructure deficits that is the sole reason why banks won't invest more in agriculture?
Yeah.
Or there are policies involved as well?
A lot of policy is not being implemented. Like the tomato policy, well, it's changing now, it's improving, where federal government increased the tariff by 50% for tomato paste importation, and per ton you pay an extra $1,500, and it is not being implemented. So, and this is almost 3 or 4 years now since the federal government put that in place, and customers saying that there's a stipulated number of days that when those policies come out, they must receive it. So they received it after those number of days, and so they did not implement, and they did not let anybody know what really went wrong. So which bank will, if any bank funds any entrepreneur to bring that in with that on ground, they will lose the money. So we need government to tighten all those policies and ensure the implementations of those policies, and that would give confidence. I have been saying this, and I keep saying it, that we need the minister to have a conversation with banks, to have a quarterly meeting, with banks, to hear the challenges and be able to fix it. In Lagos, you have the security, what's the word again? They have the security forum almost quarterly. So if you have to be talking to your partners. So we need the minister to be talking, and all the companies who drop the money for the security votes and to beef up security in Lagos State. The reason why they meet quarterly is for them to engage the governor, to have access, unrestricted access. So until we begin to have that, everybody will just think government is government, private sector is private sector. So we need that regular interaction of cross-pollinating ideas for things to move forward. So the private sector still doesn't have, the institutional investors still don't have that confidence, even though they know that that's the next way to go. They are willing, but they're not seeing those things happen.
So it's the fault of the federal government.
Federal government has to up the game.
Right. Wow, the federal government, they get a lot of heat every single day.
Yeah, I shy away from giving the blame to federal government, but on this particular, I always say private sector should take responsibility. But for the financial institutions, they cannot take any responsibility. The best they can do is just to do some intervention projects or CSR to say, oh, we'll just put in this 50 million and let's see how it goes. Meanwhile, they have billions that they can deploy. So because they need some guarantees, a lot of guarantees, and they're not getting it, they'll put it in oil and gas, where they can get a collateral that is way more than the money. So in agric also, if they have to give to agric, they have to be able to use the properties. So where you can't get C of O very fast, how will they give 60 days? And so when financial institutions, in fact, when the farmers and the investors know that I can get C of O, I can take C of O to the bank, you get money. Even the federal government, mostly, not in all cases, don't take land as collateral when they are during their intervention. They don't take it. So because land in the villages have little or no value with C of O. So you've got, and that's the truth.
Talking about bags, what were some of the highlights from the EcoBank Vanguard Agri Summit?
EcoBank program was a blast, and I say it was a blast because I'm excited. Not only am I and I say this, and I wish all banks do it, which is to listen to the clients or to the customers and do their best to implement. They said that there's a 70 billion that has been approved for to be disbursed into the agri value chain, which we are just about to have a 70 billion naira.
Wow.
Yeah. To engage them to say, okay, how do you want to do it? How can we come in? What quota of this 70 billion is proposed to go to small and medium? How can our organization help you in the networking, in making sure that you achieve your goal? Because yes, the board has approved. If management does not deploy, they have to report back to the board. So how can we make it happen for them? But I see a lot of willingness from their part, and we try as much as possible to do less talking and channeling way forward. And one of the things we did was to bring people from Mile 12. Ideally, you don't find Mile 12 people come for programs like that where you have captains of industry. They are most relegated to their Mile 12. So we brought them. We brought quite a lot of youths also to begin to engage. And so when the banks know that these people are reachable, then we can have a conversation. So but I'm excited that EcoBank is doing this, and we have some other banks also that has come up to take this responsibility, and I think that things will change, especially in 2020. Now that they're willing to reach out, they just need professionals that would help them engage the sector and make sure things go well.
So talking about people who will engage the sector, where can an average Nigerian farmer or processor get finance to start or scale up their production?
So the blatant truth that you will always hear from me is that most of the funds for banks, most, not all, is not meant for small men, because um, the amount of the documentation you need, because the banks have somebody else's money.
Mm.
The documentation you need, the small person, the small farmer or small processor will not have it.
Yeah.
The records they will require, they won't have it. So they are not supposed to go to the bank, except you have the bank doing some intervention or CSR, so they can create those CSR. But outside that, that funding is not meant for them. They can come to farm credit. Yeah,
okay.
because we understand the language,
yeah.
we play within the space, we know how to secure the funds, how to get it back. So, and we don't need collateral because we know what you can get. As long as you're in a community that we operate in, or you have some ties there, it's easier to access funding because we know that, okay, this is planting season. You don't plant it at so time.
And you can plan with them to make sure
You
they
can
get
plan
the
with them.
results
Yeah,
that they want.
because we're also operating in quite a
within
lot
the same
of states.
space,
Yeah, so we understand them, and that's why we say we give intelligent financing. So if they go to the bank, they apply, they send it to somebody for verification. He really doesn't know. He knows that it's time bound, but he doesn't know the time. He doesn't know the implication. So, and all this, let me use the word, those low figures, they're not high figures. We can get it out. There are many private sector professionals now who are saying, hey, I have X amount, I would like to get involved, or I would like to invest in somebody's company, and you can just match one youth to that person, which is the 3-3 model that we have, where a youth is attached to a mentor, a coach.
So investors can come to you as well?
Yeah. So it's not in all cases that we say bring your money. We also direct you that this is how to do it.
Yeah.
So if you have some leverage, we say this is how to do it. We're not interested in taking your money. We're interested in the sector, and what we will do with you is to say, okay, we would buy off the proceeds so that the cycle keeps going. So everybody can play in the sector now, and it's amazing. You need to see the kind of offers we got during that the EcoBank. The audience was quality, and that's one thing I've not really seen across board. So they feel, you now mostly will see the all filled with people who they are talking about multi-millions, and they don't have 1% of that, but it was filled with people who had the means and who were looking at how to engage. And so and that's one thing. Even my colleagues at work said we had quality people. We actually turned down a lot of money, and I mean it. We turned down same day we turned down a lot of money because we said, okay, fine, the way you want to bring the money into the sector is not the way it should. You just don't throw money because you have money. Like we say on this program, money is the least resource you need to succeed in agribusiness. But most of the private sector professionals believe money is all you need. So we had some huge figures.
Can you give us a hint of maybe one or two things that we need the most?
Yeah, so it's knowledge.
Okay.
Information. Because if you have the information of how things work, then you can know how to plug in. But if you don't have the information of how the sector works, if you don't have information on the business environment, the community engagement, if you don't, so people, most of the oil and gas people around Lekki Epe, most of their farms they've shut down. Most, when I say most, I stand with all authority to say most of them have shut down. Why? They drive quality vehicles. So to the average rural person, their vehicles are aspirational. Those are the kind of cars they plan to get in another world. They don't even see themselves having it in this world. But this is just a tool for movement for most of this oil and gas. And so when they're talking in dollars because they deal in dollars. And they're talking heavy dollars. They're talking vacation. They're talking how much they bought wristwatch.
Yeah.
Their normal lifestyle, and their staffs are being paid the normal industry wage, which is criminal. So when you're talking about heavy dollars, millions of dollars, and the person there is earning peanuts, it's just a matter of time. That's why a lot of kidnappings started happening on the farms. So understanding the business environment. So you have a good Jeep, which is a tool, a mobile tool for you, but it's paradise and luxury for someone else.
Yeah.
What you should do is get a normal vehicle that will take you to the farm and bring you back.
Yeah.
You know, so not understanding that has made many people invest and shut down.
I want to ask questions about the Anchor Borrower program.
Yes.
Yes, I want to know, has it been giving credits to farmers across the country? I want to know the impact and maybe the challenges of the Anchor Borrowers program in Nigeria. Do you think it's been impactful so far? How far has it gone with, with helping farmers?
I'm a fan of Anchor Borrower, and I say it anywhere without apologies. Anchor Borrower is getting the monies, and they don't also give money, but it's getting the money or the input rather now to the farmers, especially the rural farmers. It's unfortunate that the people who are educated are too educated and sophisticated to follow process. But the rural farmers are getting it because the system is a bit tight now. So you have the insurance as part of the team, the insurance, the ADP, the Ministry of Agric, the Agric Inputs, the Farmers Association. They decide the price of this product. So unlike before, government just says this seed is 50,000. No, because the insurance that determines if there's a challenge, if there's a claim, if there's a natural disaster, they will pay. They also are involved in the costing, so you don't overprice, and we have to pay higher.
So that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Okay.
So that's a lot of checks and balances involved in it.
That's good.
So unlike before that, the ministry just take the decision. The farmers can say no.
They have a say now.
Yeah, we don't want this seed. We don't want this fertilizer. Is not working. So it's a bit difficult.
Do they have the consumers in mind when they do this? Do you think they think about the poor when they choose or determine the prices of things?
The truth, who cares?
I care.
No, you care because you are the consumer.
Yeah.
The farmers don't care.
Why don't they care?
Because when they make a loss, you don't care. You get the gist.
Yeah.
So the farmer is focused on himself and the family. What will get me the job done, even if it hurts you? But when you are going to the market and the price is very cheap, you don't say, oh, it's too cheap, there's glut now, let me send some money to the farmers. Has it crossed your mind?
No.
So why should the farmer think about you? So bottom line is that we need to create a system where the farmer understands that if something happens to you, maybe they overdose a chemical in the crop and something happens to you, it affects them.
Okay.
So there's no advocacy bridging that gap.
Yes.
And so yeah, we really don't have. And when you see the price too cheap, you should be saying, hey.
I shouldn't say hey.
Yeah, so you see, the same expression you gave now is the same expression I expect to protect the farmers also. So and that's why in farm credit we give them the same fertilizer, same seeds planted in Brazil, in America, where a lot of people, there's this conversation around GMOs. So we don't touch GMOs.
What are GMOs?
The genetically modified organism, meaning the DNA of the seeds of the plant has been altered.
Okay.
So when it is altered, it's not in that original state. But we won't go to that into this conversation.
Not today.
When you call in, please don't take me up on GMO. I don't want to go there today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. I still have questions for you though. Lagos Talks. Good evening. Hi.
An African farmer, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay.
What's your name?
Like I said, you said my name is Mike. I'm calling from Sulu. You said I should talk about GMO. That's okay.
I got you.
Yes. But yes,
Go ahead. Let's talk.
Yes, my other concern is the Biosafety Agency is licensing crops, all kinds of crops. And we, unlike NAFDAC, these guys don't even have a good laboratory to test a lot of these things that are being licensed. And it's a lot of concern. It's not a lot of health concern. Yes, the foreign companies are floating into Nigeria, yes, because, it's a good market.
Yeah.
But we need to watch what we want to put on our soils, because, first of all, the soil degradation, it will take time to recover from it. I mean, a minimum of 10 years for a land to recover from a land. So we need to be very careful, with all these things that we are doing with the biosafety agency. And that's a good concern. And then government should also, the challenges of the farmers, where the routes to market. Okay, yes, government needs to work on that, so that farmers don't have their produce getting spoiled before it gets to the market. The value chain, we need to develop that value chain. And that's where the biggest concern is. Until the cooperatives, the farmer cooperatives, organize themselves in such a way whereby that value chain is maximized, then they can begin to see profit. But even in America, farmers don't make profit.
We have to cut you off to understand.
Oh, sorry, Michael. I think we need to find a way to get to sit down and talk. You sound like someone that will take hours, reminiscing over the sector.
Take up all of the time.
Yeah, so I agree with you. The agency regulating is not well equipped. I won't mince words at all. They're not well equipped. And all this licensing and not really checking these things, if there is a challenge, they can't control it. They can't recall, because the plant quarantine, they are the agency saddled with the responsibility. But the plant quarantine, they don't have the equipment, even though they have the experts with the right knowledge. They know what to do, but they are not equipped, adequately equipped to do the job. So the biosafety, all those things, they need to pay attention to it. So, and that's what I spoke about, the banks. So if the banks want to fund and quarantine doesn't have the right equipment as vehicles, as bikes to tour around the farms, once they don't have that to provide extension agents in one of the northeastern states that I operate in, during a program like 30 years back, they had 15,000 extension agents. As at last year, they had only 1,500 from 15,000.
What happened?
So yeah, they weren't funding the structure. So it's considered as waste now. And then it was important. The extension agents drive the best of the best jeeps with masts. You will probably think the governor is passing by, but that is what it requires, because they use their communication. So when they plan, when you find big organizations like Sibogegi, they don't exist again. But when they plan a project and they say it's $100 million, you would find that $40 million will be put in extension services, communication, because communication is as good as implementing the project
itself.
But right now, they see it over the last almost 2 decades is being seen as waste of resources. Why would the jeep will be bought and it's the oga that will use it in the office as against going there? You find the extension agents who want to do the job, but there's no fuel. The tire is down. So we need to get these things back. But for GMO conversation, I agree with you that with Michael, that we need to equip the agencies and monitor them. Yeah, but I personally feel, my personal opinion, that we're not fully ripe for GMOs, because we can't do any recall, we can't monitor, we can't track any batch, but we can still go with hybrids.
Are there any farming projects that you think can be embarked on, without requiring outsourcing of funds?
Well, everything requires money.
Yeah, but is there any anything as regards the agri sector or farming project that doesn't require outsourcing of these funds?
There's really none, because economics of scale. If, take for instance, you have a 5-acre farm and another person has a 20-acre farm around the same location, and you stay in the same environment, you would spend the same transport to go to 5 acres. So economics of scale, you will always need more money to scale, either for equipment or for input or even for value addition.
Except you're not growing.
Yes.
As long as you grow.
As long as you're growing, you need money, and it's like any other business.
Yeah.
The business growth aspect of agriculture is even more difficult than other businesses, because nature is dependent on nature.
Yeah.
Even if you have irrigation and co, you're still dependent on nature. Like Kenya now has grasshoppers devouring, the farms, big time.
All right. Lagos Talks, good evening.
Good evening. Please reduce the volume of. Okay, Daniel. Simon.
Okay, go ahead.
Simon, yeah. I was at the last program at the church.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent you a note and I'm going to reply to you. But I want to confirm, in the farm credit program,
Yes.
what from 500,000, can we work on 5 acres or more than 5 acres? I would like to.
Please come again.
What can?
I should come back.
Come again.
Yeah. I said with 500,000.
Yes, 500,000.
What can one do with this cost? How many acres can we do? And what is farm credit actually doing?
Okay, so you have 500,000 naira, and you're looking at what can farm credit assist you with. So I will tell you, as an experienced agribusiness expert, 500,000 is good for you to start. I don't believe you need to take more money. Yeah. Start with what you have. Every year I read that book by Sam Adeyemi. Twice a year, January and June, I buy the book and I read it. Start with what you have has helped me and has helped a lot of my proteges. So if you have 500,000, how can we leverage? So if you need to, instead of you going to buy land, can we rent government land that you will pay 10,000? It's clear the tractors.
They're available?
Yeah, they're available. With irrigation, instead of you going to buy irrigation, can we rent government land with irrigation that we just pay 3,500 or in some cases 10,000? So with that money, it's knowing how to do that. So on radio now, we can't tell you how many seeds per hectare. It depends on the seeds. If you are using open pollinated or hybrids, how do you want to sell? But Farm Credit has the knowledge to guide. We also have the resources to buy from you and guide you. So you can produce for us and we'll buy back from you. And if you need additional, if you're stuck in between, that's why you really need Farm Credit the most.
All right, it's time to go. African farmer, there's so much money in agric. I just need to tell you.
And today is our 45 weeks on Agribusiness.
Wow.
5 weeks from now will be 50 weeks of impacting Lagos and Nigeria.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you
so much. I appreciate you. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. But yes, guys, this is the 45th week of impacting loads of farmers and Nigerians through this program. So a round of applause for African Farmer. All right, we have to go because the wise men of comedy are already here. I can see a cappella peeping from the corner. So get ready for that. Don't go anywhere. You're still listening to Lagos Talks 91.3. This is the live drive with Michelle. Stay with us. In the meantime, follow Agribusiness online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's AgricbusinessNG. That's AGRIC, AgricbusinessNG, or at Farm Credit NG. That's Farm Credit NG. If you have more questions, just call African Farmer on 0809 7222 or 08090 6000 6462. I'll take that again. 0809 7222 or 090 6000 6462. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. See you next week.
I'll see you next week, Monday, God.